Mine is. I mean, I wanted to talk about Liquid, but we definitely did that. So I'll do the. I guess the bad here is just the way in which the G2 discussions are going right now, and how many red herrings that are seemingly entering the discussion at all points in time when we are discussing what's going wrong with this roster, what's going on. I've posted my takes and like kind of my initial feelings, which have since changed about a few of the people involved with this roster. But like I seeing G2 crash out in the way that they did in 12th place at Katowice is obviously well beneath what they were supposed to. And I don't even know if you can really say that they had the hardest draw necessarily. Like they lost to VP. And yes, I just praised VP, but it is through beating G2. Then they barely beat Falcons, like barely. Like they probably even should have lost that, but they made a surprisingly decent comeback on the last map. And then they lost to FaZe. And overall, I'm just gonna say this: like I think the discussions about G2 are getting almost thrown off because of the pressure that every single person faces now when they talk about snacks and Taz or anything like that. Your mentions just get so ridiculously flooded by Polish slurs that I feel like people are laying off on what they really think nowadays, and they're trying to like find other issues with them. But it's like, okay, I think Taz is actually a legitimately solid coach now. I'm not going to say he's like really good, but I think he's like a C. Like I'll give him a C basically. But to think anything other than snacks is probably for tier one IGLs like a D in terms of like tier list, then I think that's just crazy. I think that's just insane. So I think that my bad point is that people are getting thrown off the trail of what is really happening that's bad on G2 still because of almost like social media pressure. Yeah, that's my take.
What do you
All
think,
right,
Zeus?
I mean, follow along with that. G2 was a disappointment. I did watch all their matches in it. Like, they felt off. They haven't found their flow. I mean, I talked about Taz a little bit. I do think he's a solid coach who's getting, again, experience, right? He's gonna, same process. He's gonna learn a lot through it, but I do think he's a leader. And I don't know exactly how Snacks will be as an IGL leader, right? I do know he's a big personality, but he also seems to evolve. But I agree on his where he is as a talent right now and for what G2 stands, right? Like when you talk about pressure, G2 is like it's synonymous with high level pressure. Everyone expects them to do well. So that's why I think the community reaction is what it is, and it's true. Malbs, I praise him a lot on his mechanical skill because it's flashy, but as well, it's clear he has like his mechanics are while god tier in reflex, his decision making still needs tweaking. His communication there is probably gonna still need tweaking. This right, so goes like that. Mondesi, Jesus, that kid is just speak his name. Yeah, he's the franchise boy right now. He and Donk are the main guys. Don't even need to say. So when you have him on the team, everyone's gonna expect you to win. And Heavy God, I do think he's good, but like this is inside info. But he was one of the players that I looked into when like I was on my. I didn't know I was out on my way out of
Oh,
Liquid,
yeah.
but like on the way out, things like that. Fit Skull's role. But
Yeah,
the
yeah.
requests that I saw for him and what he was already being offered at the time from Cloud9 is bonkers. Like it's a crazy contract. So I don't know what the pressure he's gonna feel inside from G2 in regards to what he's gonna bring is gonna be, and even like what the other players feel, because the players happen that those stupid things, right? They get mad comparing themselves to whose dick is bigger. It's just life. So with G2, I do think that unfortunately they go down from my S tier. They are like A minus right now. I'd put them in. They're gonna be like if Gamer Legion plays to their potential and G2, that's where they should be facing each other to see who's gonna try to maybe get a top 6 through 8, something like that. Right now, I don't have too much confidence in them. And as Duncan mentioned, very Nico, man, you're gonna learn how hard it is to substitute that guy. It's Nico.
Hmm.
He's too good. Like it's the leadership, it's the position, it's the clutching, it's the mid-round calls and helping and everything. Like the dedicate, it's everything. So, yes, I'm a good friend of Nico, so maybe a little biased there.
Sure.
Take that with a grain of salt. But so G2 is in a fickle position right now for me.
Yeah, actually, what's funny is I had as one of my other points later, so I'll just incorporate it here. I actually had as my ugly point, but I'll change it. It's all good. The ugly point was going to be Malbs isn't Nico. And I specifically was going to pick ugly because it's actually the fact that people are going to treat him like he is. Like, what they're going to do is they saw last year, we're on T side, he was a fucking revelation. He was sick. He was shooting everyone in the head. By the way, CT side, he obviously didn't have his spot, so I never blamed him for that. In fact, it's why they've been called a role cell for accurately pointing out that he would be gate kept by playing stupid fucking roles, not the fragging ones. But since the whole plan, and by the way, I don't just guess at this shit, G2 themselves magically, after I kept saying for months, went, we'll probably give Malbs Nico's roles. Maybe I know a fucking thing. It's not my first rodeo, boys. I don't guess at these things. I have to guess because I can't tell you I fucking know, can I? The beauty of it is, it's like, as long as you get the info gets out there, the info gets out there. The problem is this. It's a good idea to give him Nico's roles because then he can develop. I've made this point many times before. That's how Frozen developed after Ops left. That's how freaking, what's his name, Config developed after Kirby left and AZ left. And people get the other role that they want and they start to grow into it. The problem with this is even reasonable growth won't be to end up as Nico. There's only one Nico and then there's Donk. There's these two aliens and everyone else is like a good rifler. They're good for now. You know what? Axel looked like he was going to be the next Nico for a while. How the fuck did that work out? Exertion was supposed to be like the fucking mini Donk. How's that working out? Certain people, you saw it even in Falcons, by the way. Nico still does that thing where he does that like controlled, like taking a peek slowly. And every time it's a 2 bullet clean to the head. Both bullets. I want to explain a very brief mechanic in Counter-Strike. When you, a fan, shoot 2 bullets, you aim at the head and fire and the 2 bullets go up, don't they? Nico pulls down and both bullets go in the head. Like, that sounds easy. That is the hardest shit in the world to do. Loads of people can hit the first bullet. Loads of people can spray afterwards. By the way, people like Donk spray afterwards. To actually do the clean 2 bullets, like I've always said, people who are top pros who don't like Nico, listen, I guess it was like Simple said it publicly, but he was the only one with the balls to do it. They used to think Nico was showboating when he did those 1 taps. You know, when he'd do like that insane clip, like tap, tap, bitch. It isn't. Like, I actually am telling you, he not only just knows when he hits, like Steph Curry, and he can just look away, essentially, but he does that shit where, like, his brain, before that even comes up on the kill, can just register that he got the kill. Malbs isn't that. No one is. So actually, my problem is, we're going to really give Malbs is going to be fucking ruined if we make him have to be Nico. He doesn't have to be, and he shouldn't have to be in this team either, by the way. You look at the roster, this is where, like, Heavy God's doing some fragging. Monacy's still really good. He just fell off at the end of the event is all. You go, look, Hunter's still in there. Now, I do notice everyone, Hunter must have fucking, the greatest trick Hunter ever pulled was making everyone forget he exists in G2. Everyone blamed fucking JKS, then they blamed Nexa, then they blamed Hugsy, now they're going to blame fucking Malbs, they're going to blame Snacks, they're going to blame, what the fuck is this guy doing? And then even worse, in interviews, they'll just be like, yeah, he actually calls like CT Pistons. What are you even talking about? Sir, what are you talking about? Can I pause? Can I just fucking get like, is that like, does he put that deductible on the invoice? Does he get 18,000 a month for quality all the CT pistol rounds? Like, you're fucking up 10 cents for the fragging and minus, I'll pay you $20 for keeping me on the team. What's going on here? I don't know. Like, as far as I can tell, I have never looked up the surnames. Is Hunter actually Pekka's cousin? Like, what is there more Kovacs in the world that I don't know? Was there a marriage somewhere? Is it like those like fucking nobility in Europe where they got married through the bastard child? I don't know what happened, but fucking hell, this guy he can walk on water, mate. He never gets kicked out of teams. And in fact, it's even inferred, and this will be nightmare fuel if you're a G2 fan, it's even implied in interviews, one day they maybe see him as the IGL of G2, and that's maybe why he's kept around, and that they think he's going to transition. So I think this whole team, the pressure that's going to be on, first of all, Snacks, because he's in the spotlight, but then mainly on actually Monacy to be the best player in the world in what I think is a fucking dysfunctional team, looks bad on T-side. And Malbs, if we treat him like he's supposed to be Nico, and I like some of it is NA fans just going too far and putting someone at the top already. The problem is it will always be different to be the like 3rd star who doesn't have to carry and get to carry than when it's like, you know what they do to Simple and Nico and dude, I do it to Ziwu. It's like, okay, Ziwu, you're in the semi-finals. Yeah, but the others had bad game. Yo, Ziwu, fucking go off, mate. Come on, show me. You're the best. Show me now. Like, you can't do that to Malbs. He's essentially, guys, not even done 1 year at actual tier 1 level for me. M80 playing EPLs isn't tier 1 lands. Like, he has had like 8 months or something. So I give this guy a massive pass, but I agree.
Yeah.
It is bad what G2 looks like right now. They actually were one of those teams where you looked at the lineup and you were like, this at a minimum should be like a playoff team. You know, they should at least be mixing it up. He's still got Monacy, but it looks rough. And by the way, they could have lost that game to Falcons. They could have been last place at Katowice. Yeah. That's real. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm just thinking here. Malbs, yes, he's had very little time in tier 1, But how bad is the scouting in Brazil? Because Malbs was on Team 1 like 5 years
That's
ago,
true.
and
Yeah.
no one remembered he was alive
Yes.
until he went to M80 and then outside. That's insane. And I didn't think of that, but yes, to your point, I think it's very valid. Like if the community thinks he's going to be Nico, that's going to be too much pressure on him because yes, being the first chart fragger, the one that your team relies on and the community relies on is bad. G2 actually fucked up in putting it out like that. We're already thinking of the replacement for Nico. So like they put the crosshair on their own thing.
Yeah.
And they even were like, maybe we didn't even want to keep Nico. What are you saying? What are you saying out loud, bro? What?
and one, this is just a theory that I have. We'll see how it plays out. But like a lot of people, like Malbs is one of those guys where his playistic style right now, because CS2 is a new game and Donk is fragging out and just swinging, he's one of those guys who's taking those wide swings. He's taking a lot of duels, and he's really good mechanically and really good fragger. He's doing it, but Donk is the #1 player in the world right now. If there's one play style that's going to be studied, it's the wide swing, right? Like there's one mechanic that every generational player or team is bringing, things like that. And I believe that the first step in CS2 is CS2 wide swing. This is the most obvious one, is the one that's going to be perfected to the most. How good will a Malbs be in that play? Like if we're asking him to be Donk right now when he's on top of the game, it's hard. Imagine when they figure out that aspect of the game, which it seems is the most heavily relied on weapon right now, which is fragging out.
See more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, you know, be a pleb and don't.